Hi, I'm Pip Waller. This is Being Human, and this is by request a video about coronavirus. So, coronavirus, it's definitely a real serious threat to us at the moment. For some people, it will be a life and death threat, but for many people, it can be a serious illness threat. And for all of us, it's going to be something that's going to disrupt our usual way of living. So it's something we have to think about. And I want to say that on this, obviously I'm a medical herbalist and a plant spirit medicine healer, and I have been a herbalist actually for 31 years. So I pretty much when I was 18, I went to herbal medicine school and did a 4-year course and so on. So it's been my whole life and in the alternative world. So I want to say to anyone watching this that doesn't know, you might not realise this, because actually people that are herbalists and so on in the alternative world, it's not like we think, oh, don't bother to wash your hands and do ordinary proper hygiene and prevention. Just take this herb and these essential oils and this homeopathic remedy and everything will be fine. No, of course you've got to do the sensible thing and the right precautions and the right way of looking after yourself. And there's plenty of stuff about that, but I'll just briefly say that means minimizing your contact with the amount of time that you're going to come into contact with this virus, or that if you've got it, minimizing the spread of you coming into contact with other people. Because even if you've got it and you're robustly healthy and it's not going to be a problem for you, it's going to be a problem for other people that are around you. So you really, really need to be extremely, I'm going to say, relaxedly vigilant is the thing we want to aim for, because we don't want to be stressfully vigilant, because actually stress and worry depresses our immune system and makes us more vulnerable to illness of all kinds in the first place. But so I think actually it's a good time, if you don't already do it, to get into a little bit of daily meditation, prayer, mindfulness, really checking in with yourself and really paying a bit of attention internally. How do I feel today? Because I do actually think that even though you've got the virus, if you've got any virus, and this coronavirus is no exception, as soon as it's entered your body and into your blood and there's an immune response happening, actually you feel a little bit different to how you felt before. So if you've got kids, you'll have noticed, anyone that's got little kids, probably you'll have noticed, sometimes they're really like what we call naughty or difficult, they're grumpy and emotional and uncooperative or whatever. And then you see them the next day or the day after, they come out with an illness and you go, actually they were already coming down with something. People are there's a way in which as soon as there's an immune response happening in our body, which means that there is something has got into us, there's a way that we feel a bit different. But if we're really in a hurry, if we're not in the habit of paying attention to ourselves, and we're really in a hurry and we're busy and we're stressed and we're externalizing, perhaps we're spending all day long looking at the news on our phone or whatever, the more we're doing all that, the less we're actually noticing, how do I feel? So how do you feel? Check in. Hello, how are you feeling today? Then you might notice, actually I feel, if you're feeling tired, for example, you could think, it's a good time to have a rest. When you're tired, it's a good time to have a rest. It's not a great time to have a cup of coffee and push through, unless you absolutely have to. Because one of the things that enhances your immunity is being rested and plenty of sleep and rest. And one of the things that weakens it is overwork and not being rested. So it's all about getting our immunity up. We're not in the natural medicine world. It's not all about what can we do that will kill this virus. It's about what can we do to enhance our own body's ability to both, first of all, not let it in to the body, and then if it has got in, maximize our immune response to it. So it's a problem. If you're still not realizing it's a problem, it is a problem because it's not just hysteria and hype and all that. It's a problem because it seems to be a new virus that nobody's therefore got immunity. So we've all got to develop immunity to it. Anytime you catch a cold or an infectious illness and you've got the symptoms of it and then you get over it, what's happening while you've got the symptoms to it is your body is working on developing a particular immune response, your immune system's working on being able to overcome it. Then when you get better, you only get better because your immune system has figured out how to do that. Really, that's why you get better from things, especially viruses where there's no antibiotics or something that's going to kill it. It's going to be you getting better. So your immune system is absolutely brilliant, and it is designed to be able to mount a response to things, adapt to something new that it hasn't met before and get over it. And everything we can do, therefore, from a naturopathic perspective, is about, first of all, increasing the external defences and then doing what we can to help the internal immune system. So external defences, that is why it makes sense to keep away from too many people. Don't go somewhere where there's hundreds, thousands of people. It's the good time to cancel all the travelling and to think about just pottering around as much as you can, like locally. And that when we are with each other, we just think about not mingling freely. Now, that it's not just about, it's arguably going to be impossible to avoid any contact with this virus, but it's like a little bit of contact would be one thing and a massive load of contact will be another, in terms of how well our defences are able to keep it out. So that's why I will say all the hand washing thing, because it doesn't, unless you've got cuts and things and it can get into the blood on your hands, it's actually, the problem with being on your hands, as you probably know, but let's spell it out, is that then you'll touch, if it's on your hands and then you touch your nose or your mouth or you rub your eyes, those are ways that it can actually get into your body. You're introducing it in. The other way, from somebody else, somebody's got it and obviously you don't want anybody sneezing at you, and that's why we sneeze. You sneeze if there's no hanky and you sneeze too quickly, you get it into your clothes, into your elbow or into your shoulder. If you can sneeze into a hanky, then you make sure that's properly disposed of, if it's a throwaway one, or hopefully it's a washable one, and then it can go straight in the wash. 60-degree wash will kill the virus. But if you just get a little bit, it's going to be much easier for your external defences, the barriers that stop things from getting in, to deal with it. So what are those external defences? They're the mucous membranes in your nose, mouth, and it's the mechanism of fever. Those are like the first lines of defence before something gets into the blood, and then you get the full-on immune response to it. So we first of all, if we've only got a little bit of exposure, we maybe won't even get into the blood, or a tiny bit gets in, and it's going to take it much longer before it can multiply to be a problem for us. And the longer time we've got, is our immune system can get active and fight it. So the immune system, so mucous membranes, this is why one of the bits of advice that I've thought might be worth doing is putting a barrier, like an ointment or a barrier up your nose. Maybe with some, say like a beeswax barrier, or if you're vegan, you can, you could use Vaseline actually, and you could melt it down and add some, not too much because you don't want to irritate your mucous membranes, but so just the barrier is enough, or you could add some antiviral essential oils like Melissa, which is terribly expensive, but the other lemony ones, lemongrass, basil's one of my favourite, and all the basil family. And actually pretty much all those nice aromatic herbs have got some antiviral action. So, and I'm not saying here, oh yes, essential oils can kill coronavirus, don't need to bother with anything else. I'm just saying let's do everything to maximise our, I'm not saying the essential oils are instead of being really careful and following hygiene, just to be really clear about that. So how do we maximise? Oh, the other thing that's the nose. Other also can enter in your mouth, and so if you gargle, actually research has showed that if you gargle, this has been done in busy office blocks, people that gargle a few times a day just with warm water, basically washing your tonsils out, washing anything that's got in there regularly, cleaning it out, left much less likely to catch respiratory infections, colds, and so on. So. Who knows, that might be a helpful thing to do with this, and it doesn't cost you anything, especially when you've been outside, or if there's somebody at home that's actually ill and you're around it a lot. Frequent gargling is not going to do you any harm. Teach your kids to gargle. A lot of kids really love learning to gargle. it's hilarious, isn't it? You can get them when they come home from school, if they're still at school. In the UK, they're at school, because if they all suddenly go off school, what's all the carers and all the people that work in hospitals? Who's going to look after their kids? So, it's a tricky one, balancing act. But try and teach them to gargle when they come home. Okay, and then we're looking at how to enhance your immune system. I've got a whole video on this. I'm going to put a link at the end. Things to do to enhance your immune system. One of my favourites is this one, tapping the sternum, tapping the breastbone. This is an ancient practice for living a long time, longevity. Now, behind your sternum, you've got a big gland called the thymus gland. When you're born, when you're an infant, it's massive. It's massive through your childhood. From sort of 10, 11, 12, it starts to get a bit smaller. But from adulthood, it rapidly gets smaller and smaller and smaller until by the time you're old, it's really small. Now, could it be that the thymus, by the way, activates T lymphocytes? If you get a new threat coming in, it's the thymus gland. Cells in the thymus gland are going to go, they're like little, I imagine them like little boffin engineers in there. They're going to tinker a bit with some of your lymphocytes so that your lymphocytes can actually, your T lymphocyte can actually recognise and go after and kill the new pathogen. So anyway, you've got to do it for a couple of minutes. I would do it for a couple of minutes, a couple of times a day. Don't just do it for like 30 seconds and stop. And you might find, it's a bit tender, but that's okay, it's fine. It's a massage. This is a kind of massage, so it's probably stimulating the thymus. Ancient times it wasn't known, it was just they did all sorts of things and they found that this actually made people live longer. And I have recommended it to people over the years and years and years that I've been teaching anatomy and physiology. And a lot of people have reported to me that they've stopped getting repeated infections if they do that every day. So it's really worth doing. Again, it doesn't cost anything and it doesn't make any plastic waste to fill up the oceans or the land. Okay, the general advice then for, apart from like looking after your barriers, your external immunity, is to what to do to enhance the immune system if something does get in, so that if something does get in, you can more quickly fight it. That means avoiding things that suppress it and increasing things that improve it. And I have made a video about that already, so actually I'm just going to put a link and you can watch that. But one thing to remind everyone is that stress depresses immunity. It's really worth remembering that. When we're stressed, the immune system is suppressed, and that's why, people are all stressed and overworking. They go on holiday, they get cold. It's not like, it's not a good idea to go on holiday. It's like your immune system, you haven't been well actually, you've been overworking, overriding it with the stress response. And when you stop, you get the symptoms come out. So now this is a situation where we actually don't think, then being stressed will be good and avoiding work, I don't want to get it. You actually want your immune system to be as good as possible, so it's going to be able to fight this thing off. So avoid stress, have fun as much as you can, enjoy the fact that you're resting, connect with yourself, chat to people on the phone, talk to yourself, make yourself laugh. Actually, while you're doing this, you can go, pretend to be Tarzan, which could make you laugh anyway. Crying is also good. Crying cleans you, actually when you cry, if you can have a really good cry, it doesn't just, wash your eyes out, but you get a massive amount of lovely clean mucus that comes and washes out of you. If you do get sick, I'll make another video about how to look after somebody if you are sick and you've got, how to nurse yourself or somebody else, some basic things. It's too much to put in one thing. The other thing to say is about fever. I advise avoiding taking loads of paracetamol, aspirin, drugs that suppress a fever. And, certainly prophylactically, that's really ridiculous. And actually to do that when you're ill, even if the fever's not high, it actually could be counterproductive, because the fever isn't the illness itself. The fever is your body putting your temperature up so that it becomes inhospitable to the virus. And this virus doesn't like heat, apparently. So I avoid treating a fever until it's over 104. Seriously, that's a very high fever. Definitely don't take something, and don't give things to kids the minute they get any fever. You want to have a nice fever, a nice robust response. If you do want to take something, check out homeopathy, or there's a really great herbal tea, peppermint yarrow and elderflower, which makes you sweat and drops a fever. You could just try that once. It's quite tasty. yeah, get herbal advice. I do online consultations. You can contact me, pipwaller.co.uk. You might well have herbalists in your area. Talk to them. The best herbal medicine is when it's been actually geared to you, specifically to you, what your situation is, rather than a one size fits all thing. Homeopathically, apparently, arsenic and album at 30. That is the homeopathic remedy to take as a preventative. Take 1 or 2 doses a day. Take homeopathic remedies half an hour before or after food, or just not eating or drinking half an hour before or after taking the remedy. Yeah, I think that's enough. I'm going to put the thing for the immunity. Finally, let's really try and be nice. Kindness and compassion increases your immunoglobulin activity in your nose. Actually, interesting research was done on that. They got people watching, they measured the immunoglobulins in the nose, and then got people literally watching a film about Mother Teresa helping really sick people, and it enlisted feelings of compassion in those people, and that actually literally raised the immunoglobulins, which raises your ability to keep a virus or an unwanted pathogen out of your body. So kindness and compassion, which also will make it a lot nicer, instead of just like everyone looking at each other like, oh, you're the enemy and I'm going to take all the pasta and toilet roll. That reminds me about pasta. It's only really one step away from sugar, white pasta, and sugar is one of the things to absolutely stop straight away, because sugar, immediately you take sugar, for several hours afterwards, it lowers your immunity. So yeah, do everything you can to keep off the sugar. Anyway, and smoking. Don't smoke either, because bad for your lungs. All right, I'm Pip Waller. This is Being Human. I hope this has been useful. I've made it in a bit of a hurry. I'm not particularly sure that it's the best one I've ever made, but so give me feedback and let me know. And if you think it's rubbish, tell me and I'll try and make a better one. Thanks for listening.